in this model, watch this, in this biblical model of success, the evidence of success is not seen in what you have, but rather how much hell has you. I wish I had somebody. You cannot testify that you're successful if you ain't never been through hell. In order to be a biblical success, you got to know what it is to catch hell, to go through hell, to have hell on your trail, but you can still tell God thank you. Anybody in here know anything about hell? See, when you're going through hell, biblical model of denial, it means to disregard, to lose sight of, and then to forget your own interests. It is almost the exact opposite of the traditional psychiatric concept of living in self-denial. That's because if someone wants to live the type of life that Jesus advocates in this text, here comes the first principle, it requires that you admit that the self is at the core of most of your problems. If you're going to live the kind of life that Jesus is advocating in the text, the first thing you've got to be willing to admit is that the self, yourself, is at the core of most of your problems. I know that's a hard amen, but say it anyway. See, to live in biblical denial, you first got to admit that the self, me, myself, and I, at the core, I am the cause of most of my problems. And see, when you understand that, you will stop protecting yourself and start denying yourself. So you got to mature to a place. So you got to show enough get Bible grown. You got to come to a place where you can admit that yourself is at war with what it takes to live a life that's pleasing and acceptable to God. Hear me today. I don't care how many scriptures you quote. I don't care how many songs you sing. I don't care if you oil yourself until you get greasy enough to fry. Until you learn how to deny yourself, you will never live a life that's pleasing to our God. See, it doesn't take a whole lot for me to stand up and tell you you got to deny yourself. But the reality is we need to understand how to do it. Are you praying with me? See, there is only one way to deny yourself. There is only one way to surrender your will unto his will. And here it is. Here's the second principle for my note takers. You've got to admit that God's will is greater and better for your life than your will is. Let me say it again. I know you think you know what you want, when you want, what you need, how you got to have it, and how much of it you got to have. But you need to understand that God knows you better than you will ever know you. God knows some stuff about you that you're not even willing to admit to yourself. See, the only thing you know is what you see in the mirror. But see, God knows some stuff you ain't even seen yet. God knows some stuff that's going to happen that hadn't even happened yet. God knows some stuff about you that would absolutely blow your mind. As a matter of fact, the only reason about 12 of y'all ain't put up a finger and tipped out is because God has not flashed across your mind some of the stuff you're going to do before it's all over. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They ain't got nothing to do with me, Pastor. You's a lie and the truth ain't in you. I got a will. You got a will. Yeah, you got a way you want your life to go. You got some things that you want to do. You got a plan for how you want things to turn out. But you got to come to a place of maturity where you start out saying, I don't want to. But by the end you say, but I will. I wish I had somebody. You got to come to a place where you say, I don't want to, but I will. Punch your neighbor and say, he ain't lying. I don't want to, but I will. See, you got to come to a place. You got to come to a place. You got to come to a place. You got to come to a place where you can be honest with yourself and honest with God. I tell folk all the time, a lot of other folk, don't lie to yourself. You got to come to a place where you're honest enough with yourself to be able to say, God, it's uncomfortable. God, I'm not excited about it. God, I don't always like it. God, I'm struggling to do it. But I've seen enough. I've struggled enough. I've cried enough. I've worried enough. And God knows I've lost enough to know that your will for me is always greater than my will for myself. Watch this. Living in denial is about what it's producing and not what you're foregoing. See, living in denial is all about what God's going to make and not what you're going to miss. See, we don't like to talk about denial because we're so focused on what we're going to miss. But I want to challenge you this morning. Don't get caught up in what you're going to miss, but you need to focus on what God's going to make. Are you hearing me? Now listen, now listen. Now I ain't gonna do you like some TV preachers. See, TV preachers gonna lie to you. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Whatever it is you gonna deny yourself of, you're gonna miss it. Are you hearing me? Listen, I'm not gonna stand here and tell you you're not gonna miss it. That's a lie. You gonna miss it. And the reason I know you gonna miss it is because you enjoy it. Because if you didn't enjoy it, you wouldn't be doing it. Come on, nod your head. Come on, nod your head. You gonna miss it. You gonna miss it because when you were having it, it was good. It may not have been good for you, but it was good to you. Look at somebody just say it was good. I wish I had somebody. Come on, come on, come on. Yes, I'm gonna miss it. Yeah, I'm gonna miss it. If it wasn't good, I never went out and got it. Listen, it's gonna be good, and I'm going to miss it. Are you hearing me? But I've discovered if I were to deny what's good, God specializes in taking my good and giving me something gooder. I wish I had somebody. I wish I had somebody. Listen, if you will give up what's good, you will discover that God's got some goody that keep getting gooder. Look at your neighbor and say, God gets gooder. Let me prove it to you. Let me prove it to you. Let me prove it to you. Money in your pocket. That's good. My God shall supply all my needs. That's gooder. A reasonable portion of health and strength. That's good. By his stripes, I'm already healed. That's gooder. If you will give up your good, God has something gooder. See, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. You can handle, God knows you can. You can handle living in denial if you can learn to see beyond this moment. You can handle denying yourself some things if you can simply learn how to see beyond this. Somebody should have shouted right there. I said you can learn to do without some things if you can learn how to live beyond this moment. Now, I know why you're not saying amen, because we like to live in the moment. The right here and the right now. Tomorrow not promised. Are you hearing me? Matter of fact, I used to tell folk I'm going to live till I die, because when I die, I'll be dead. Are you hearing me? We're focused on living in the moment. You know the kind of stuff you say. It ain't good for me, but it's good to me. I know she ain't Miss Right, but she ain't doing bad as Miss Right now. I know he ain't no good for me. The truth is, he really don't belong to me. I know he can never stay too late at my house, and I ain't got no business at his house. But having a piece of man is better than having no man at all. Hunt your neighbor and say, this grown folk church. But I wanted to take this time and give you a special invitation, a personal invitation to join me on Friday, March the 29th for our Good Friday services here at the St. Paul Church. Services are going to begin at 12 noon, and trust me, you don't want to miss this service. Our special guests will include Pastor Keith Norman, Dr. Bill Atkins, Pastor Bartholomew Orr, Dr. Gino Gibson, Dr. Gina Stewart, Dr. Stacy Spencer, and Bishop Edward Stevens. And our special musical guest will be none other than Billy Rivers and the Angelic Voices of Faith. Listen, you can't be anywhere on Good Friday other than St. Paul. I'll be looking to see your face in the place.